Good day, folks. This video is called The Morning Experience, Part 3, 7 Metonic Cycles. So the Metonic Cycle is a 19-year cycle. I've shared some other videos on it. It's not a perfect cycle, but the question I asked, how accurate is the Metonic Cycle? The Metonic Cycle is the most accurate cycle of time in a time span of less than 100 years for synchronizing the tropical year and the lunar month, when the method of synchronizing is the intercalation of a 13th lunar month in a calendar year from time to time. I got that from Wikipedia. Now, what I wanted to do on this video, I wanted to do a comparison of the pagan Roman Gregorian dates of today, July the 21st, and going back in time 19 year cycles through the Metonic cycle, and also the date of July the 22nd. And I wanted to compare those two dates with this Metonic cycle and see how accurate it was. So going back all the way to 1910, this is the first date we have on July the 21st and 22nd of 1910. In 1910, we had the sunrise at 5:23 a.m. on the 21st, and then we had a moonset at 4:22 a.m., and that would be, to me, that would not be a new moon day there because the moon set before the sun rose. And then also you can look at the illumination of the moon. It's still waxing at a supposed 99%. Now, if you look to the other date here of July the 22nd, 1910, you have the sunrise at 5:23, and then you have the moon set at 5:24, which would be a sign for Tanya and I that that's a new moon day. And we have the illumination. Now that's 100%. You keep in mind that the moon doesn't stay 100% for a long period of time. It's instantaneous when it happens. It's nothing that your unaided eye could pick out. I don't even know if a zoom camera could pick out exactly when the moon goes completely full, because the light's constantly moving in the moon. But the full moon happened at 2:37 a.m., so that would pretty much tell me at that time too, if you was going to go by a full moon, which is not a very good witness. But if you was going to go there, you would say that that would be New Moon Day on July the 22nd. But the main things that Tanya and I observed is sunrise and moonset. When are those days? And for us, it's the first day of the month is when the moon is still above the horizon when the sun appears. It's that first day of the month when that happens, New Moon Day. So if you looked at that 5:23 a.m., that was an hour earlier than our time this morning here in Cooterville. So I wanted to look up daylight saving times and see when they implemented it. So it says daylight savings time was first implemented in the United States on March 31st, 1918. So that's the reason why we have an hour difference. You can stop the video now if you want to read the rest of this and look at their cockamamie thoughts on why they did daylight savings time, but it just makes no sense. But again, it's just another way for them to get away from their creator and his celestial calendar. But anyway, March 31st. So in 1910, you saw the sunrise at 5:23 a.m. and we go 19 years later, which is going to be 1929. And let's look at this next slide and see what we got. So there we go. We got sunrise at 6:23 a.m. on July the 21st, 1929, and we have moonset at 5:57. So the moon disappeared before before the sun appeared. So that's not a sign for us for New Moon Day. And you see here they had the full moon supposedly happen at 2:21 p.m. on the 21st. So that would be well after the sun had appeared and moon had disappeared. And of course, you wouldn't even be able to see that during the day at 2:21 p.m. The moon had already set, and you wouldn't even see when that would happen. So it's just, a guess at that point in time. But if you look at the other day, the next day, July 22nd, 1929, you have sunrise at 6:24 and you have moonset at 6:54. and you have the moon already waning. So my two witnesses are the sun and moon from Genesis 1:16, and that's my two witnesses that tell me that the first day of the month is when I see the sun, and I can still see the moon on the opposite end of my dome here. And through this Metonic cycle, it's a good way for us to know when the sunrise and moon sets are, is through the Metonic cycle also. Now, if we look 19 years later, in 1948, on July the 21st, we have sunrise at 6:23, and we have moon set at 6:37. So that would be a sign for new moon day. So I would take that as new moon day. And as you can see, the moon is at 99% supposedly at a waning, in its waning stages. So of course that would make July the 22nd just the second day of the fourth month at that time. And you see sunrise at 6:24, and then well over an hour and 12 minutes later, you have moonset. So that would be a sign for your second day of the fourth month. Now we go to 1967. We got July the 21st at sunrise again at 6:23 a.m., but we have moonset at 6:06 a.m. And then we have full moon, supposedly occurred after the moon's set. What'd I say? Moon set at 6:06. So moon set before the sun appeared. So that's not new moon day. That would be a 30th day based on the Metonic cycle that I've been getting myself familiar with. And the full moon does not occur until 9:38. So pay attention to these times where the moon is on this July the 21st as we go through these slides, because you're going to see it's going to change as we get closer to the dates we are here today. If we look at July 22nd, 1967, we had sunrise again at 6:23 a.m., but moon set at 7:12. So there's my verified two witnesses that verify my new moon day for that date, and that would be our first day of the fourth month there. And as you can see, they've already got the moon was waning at that time. So at 7:12 a.m., maybe a little bit before that, you could have maybe got a zoom in shot of the moon to see if it was in its waning stages. And I've got a video I'm going to do later that's going to show the moon waxing. I've got a shot of the moon video wise for the last two evenings showing that it was in its waning stages, or I'm sorry, waxing stages and such. So let's go 19 years into these dates, and we get to 1986, and we got July the 21st, 1986. We got sunrise again at 6:23 a.m. and moonset at 6:17. So again, that's that the moon disappeared before the sun appeared. But if you see here, the full moon supposedly happened at 5:40 a.m. So that would be 37 minutes before the moon disappeared. So whether you could see that or not, I haven't ever verified it, not even with my zoom camera for myself. If there's anybody out there that can get a shot and show the whole circumference of the moon where it's got clean edges on it, where you know that it's completely full, then please share them with me. I'll leave my contact information in the information box. Now let's go to July the 22nd, 1986. You can see that it's got sunrise at 6:24 and moonset at 7:31. So that's a verification for Tanya and I that would have been new moon day for us back in 1986 if we had been keeping the celestial calendar together, because we were married at that point in time nearly 4 years. So we didn't even have children yet. But anyway, you can see there with the moon supposedly at 99% waning gibbous. And so there's a good chance you might have been able to take a zoom in shot of the moon to see if it was in waning stages or not. But again, that is not a very good witness because it's so hard to see. So ask your question, would Yahuwah give you celestial bodies, luminous bodies in the sky that were hard for you to tell whether they had turned full or not. And there's only one light that goes through its a phase like there's no other light that does like our moon. So the moon's the only one that does that. So would he make it that way to where it would be hard to see? I don't believe so. He wouldn't put a burn on it. So our witness, our true witnesses, are the two witnesses of sun and the moon appearing for that first day of the month. Now we go a step ahead, another 19 years. We got July 21st, 2005. You got sunrise again at 6:23, but you got moonset at 6:17. So that's not new moon day for me and Tanya. Although they have the moon supposedly going full at 6:02 a.m. Would you be able to verify that if the moon set at 6:17? And I'm going to tell you, that's very low on your horizon at that point in time. It's further away from you, because when the moon's above your head, it's close. It's the closest point. When it's at its meridian stage and it's at its furthest northern travel, then yes, it's easier to see the moon. But when it travels out to the south, like it is this morning, or last night when it came up at night, it was the second evening that it was starting to head back to the north, but it went to its complete southern stage. That's another video that I'm going to put out showing the travels of the moon through a month, because it's not always the same every month. So you need to pay attention whether that moon's on its southerly travel or where it's on its northerly travel. If it's on its northerly travel, that means it's going to stay above your horizon longer than if it's on its southerly travel, because when the sun's on its southerly travel, we have shorter days, because the sun, it's further away from us, and it doesn't stay in appearing to us for the same amount of time as it does when it's at its peak on I believe it's June 20th or 21st, depending on where you live and such. And you have your longest day of the year happen. And I believe ours happened this year for our area, happened on June the 20th. We had our longest day of the year. So now we step to the next day, July the 22nd, 2005. We got sunrise a minute later at 6:24. And then we got moonset at 7:34. So again, that would be a clear sign. You have the moon waning at that point in time, and it's very possible that if you got a telescope, I don't know if you got great eyes, then you might be able to make it out for yourself. I'm not blessed with great eyes, so I have to use other devices to get there. But if I zoom in on it at 260 zoom with my camera, I can see the edges of the moon, and even at that, I can't verify exactly when it goes. I've never got a video of it going exactly 100% at the time I was videoing it. Never have. So anyway, and I've been doing this a few years. Not to say that makes me an expert or anything, but I've been doing it a few years. And so again, I go back to our two great lights in Genesis 1:16, the sun and the moon. Same two great lights that are mentioned in Psalms 136, 8 and 9 is a verification that that's the sun and moon and such. So again, just 19 years ago, as we can see, our new moon day would have started on July the 22nd. Now we come to July 21st. This at the beginning of our day today, we had sunrise at 6:24 a.m., but the moon had set at 6:19. I've got a video I'm fixing to put up that's going to show a lot of witnesses for that. Now, they did say that the moon went full at 5:19 a.m., a full hour before it set. Regrettably, we had conditions here under our dome where they had sprayed the last couple days, so we were mostly cloudy. So I just got little remnants of the moonlight at about 4:30 this morning. When I went out, I wanted to get a zoom picture of it to see where it was in its stage of or phase if I could. But anyway, this would not be a sign for me. So I knew based on the pattern of the 19-year Metonic cycle, that today would not be a new moon day for us here in Cooterville. Now, tomorrow, July the 22nd, is going to be verified for Tanya and I because, of course, by default, tomorrow's going to be new moon day because we're keeping the 30th day of the 3rd month today. So tomorrow, by default, is going to be the first day of the 4th month for us. So sunrise is going to occur at 6:24, the same time it did today, and moonset is going to be at 7:33. So we're going to have the moon still well above our horizon at that time, and it should be waning at that time, and weather permitting, I'm going to try to get out and get a video shot of it in its waning stage. I've already got 2 nights of it in its waxing stage, last night and the night before. So we look forward to doing some more videos here for y'all. And so that's the morning experience, part 3, 7 Metonic Cycles. I pray that this is helping some of y'all that are still searching for truth. I really struggle with that, with the time that the moon goes 100% full. I have misstated in the past that, you know, you can't have the sun and moon above your horizon at the beginning of your new moon day until after the moon goes full, but that's not true. Sometimes they say it goes full, but you still don't have both your 2 great lights that rule the day and night above your apparent horizon where you're at. So I've got to go by what Scripture tells me, and not by, you know, what others speak or anything. I've got to look at the Word. I've got to let Elohim be true, and but every man a liar, and I've got to stick to that. And until I'm seeing anything differently, I'm pliable. I'm clay in His hands, and if anyone can share His Word that can show me that the morning is part of the day, the first part of the day, and not the last part of the day, I'm into the belief it's the last part of the day based on Genesis 1 alone, just by the divisions of the evening and morning between the day and the night. And morning's the last one mentioned on the first day, second day, third day, fourth day, and fifth day, and sixth day. So morning is the last portion of that. If you want to say a 24-hour cycle, that's the last part mentioned. So I've got a lot more studies on this morning experience. There's going to be several more parts. I'm having a blast doing it. I'm learning so much. I'm getting others involved with sharing with me and just giving me confirmation from their end with they're seeing the Word the same way I am, and Tanya's seeing it too. So anyway, guys, love y'all. Again, I pray that this blesses many of you. And if you have any questions or comments, please do. Whether you do it on my YouTube channel here, on the comment section, or reach out to me through email or text or phone call. Had a phone call this morning. It was great to hear. And but anyway, y'all have a great day, and we'll be looking for celebrating New Moon Day with you tomorrow. Depending on where you're at, because again, it doesn't happen for everybody on the same Gregorian date. There is an international date line that establishes them dates, and that international date line is controlled out of Rome. So Rome does not control me. Yahuwah is who puts His Word in my heart and convicts me and tells me which way to go. So. And as always, we're always going to end every video with a big old praise out to Yahuwah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah indeed.